Hi everyone, welcome to Geography 1, Physical Geography for Summer 2018. I'm your instructor, Jamie Rossiter. Hopefully you watched that first quick video that will introduce you to me. I am available on email. My email address is jrossiter0. Make sure you have that 0 in there, at saddleback.edu. There was another J Rossiter who used to teach at Saddleback, and so I got the 0. So if you don't put the 0 in here, the email will not get to me. So I'm available via email. Because this is an online class, I'll usually respond to your email within 24 hours, unless it's on a weekend, and then I will get back to you on Monday morning. I'm also available on Mondays from 12 to 1 p.m. on Google Hangouts. All you have to do is go to hangouts.google.com. If you have a Gmail account, you'll already be set up. If you don't have a Gmail account, that's fine. You can use Google Hangouts with any email address. It's pretty self-explanatory. And you could search for me at that Saddleback email address there on Mondays from 12 to 1 and chat with me there. I'm also available in the first half of the semester, but not the second half, in order to meet on campus if you need to. But generally speaking, most students will, in an online class, will just email me and I will get back to them relatively quickly. So our course description: this course examines the major world patterns of the physical environment. The course covers the fundamental information and processes dealing with the Earth's atmosphere, climate, landforms, natural vegetation, water, and soils, along with appropriate use of maps and charts. We are certainly going to look at lots of maps and charts this semester. This is a map of climate zones across our globe. We're going to look at a lot of this when we talk about climate later in the semester. But basically, we're going to be looking at all different kind of physical Earth systems. We're going to start off in the atmosphere, and we're eventually going to make our way down to the lithosphere, or the surface of the planet. Your required text is McKnight's Physical Geography, the 12th edition by Darrell Hess. The 11th edition is also okay. I wouldn't go back any farther than the 11th edition, but not much has changed between the 11th and 12th, and so you can successfully complete the course with the 11th edition and save yourself some money to boot. You are expected to be reading along with the chapters in the book as you go. That is the purpose of the textbook, and also to help you study for your quizzes. But generally speaking, on this course, on the syllabus for that week, it's going to tell you which chapter numbers that we are covering, and you should be reading along as you go. You're going to want to be familiar with Canvas. You're already on Canvas right now if you're watching this, so that's good. Generally speaking, if you have a problem with something that I have posted in particular, you should be contacting me. But if you have some general questions about Canvas, not sure how to operate it properly, can't access certain aspects of it, you're going to want to contact student technical support to help you with that, and there are some links to that on the course homepage. So your course homepage here looks like this. You started with this introduction to the course. Start here, watch first, meet your professor. You're in the watch second. Here is that student help and resources that I talked about if you're having general trouble with becoming familiar with Canvas. But then after this, you're going to move on to your first module. Each week consists of one module. We have 8 weeks in this course. We have 8 modules. And so you can see all 8 modules right now, but you can't get into them because they're not active yet. We're not actually allowed to let you work ahead. That would be a correspondence course, which is not what you're taking. You need to complete the course at the same pace and with the rest of the class. Modules become available on midnight on Sunday, and you have until midnight the following Sunday to complete the module. So this one went live on basically 12 a.m. on June 18th or midnight on June 17th on the Sunday, and then it's due the following Sunday. You're going to want to complete the module in order. So in Module 1, you're going to start Welcome to Geography 1, then move on to Cheating and Plagiarism, and the plagiarism video, and so on and so forth. So how are you being evaluated? What is the coursework for this semester? You have quizzes. You have 8 quizzes worth 15 points each for a total of 120 points. In this short course of physical geography, I quiz you at the end of each module rather than giving you several large exams. And so once you get to the end of that module, you're going to take a short quiz based upon what you just learned. In some ways that's easier because it's a little bit fresher in your mind. But so we're going to have 8 of those. You're also going to have 18 exercises that are worth 10 points each. Exercises you'll have between 1 to 3 a week, depending on the week and what else you have. But basically, I'm going to ask you to answer a question, do a little bit of research, and respond to a prompt, maybe on a discussion board. You then have a final survey, which is worth 10 points. This is in the last module. This is an anonymous survey. I can see that you took it and give you the points for it, but basically it just allows me to improve the course in the future and earn you a few points. And then you have a plagiarism quiz. In the first module, you're going to kind of have a nice refresher about what plagiarism is and why we shouldn't do it. And this plagiarism quiz is meant to be a learning tool, so you can take it up to 3 times to improve your score. And that gives us a total of 325 points for the whole 8-week semester. I do not assign a final paper in this class, in this short class, just because in physical geography it's really hard to gear up to that paper in just 8 weeks. So no final paper, and again, you're being quizzed every week, so you're going to have no major exams. You're just going to have these 8 quizzes. Late assignments, I do accept late assignments. You lose 10% for each day that is late and up to 1 week late. So I do not accept anything after 1 week. The exception to this is the final module. That is due on the due date, which is the last day of the semester. I can't accept any work past the final day of the semester. If you have a physical or learning disability for which you receive accommodation, please let me know as soon as possible and email me copies of the documents associated with your disability accommodation. This is so that I can accommodate you through Canvas for exams or anything else that you receive accommodations for. Don't wait until the end of the module when you're taking your first quiz in order to email me that stuff. Generally speaking, I'm not going to be online on Sunday night in order to change that for you and give you that accommodation. So you want to get that to me as soon as possible. Cheating, including plagiarism, will not be tolerated in this class. Any student caught cheating will receive a grade of 0 on that assignment and will be reported to the college. Please keep in mind that plagiarism includes any use of another person's words or ideas without proper citation. If you have any further doubts or questions about what constitutes plagiarism, please see me. Ignorance will not be accepted as an excuse. And what I mean by that is if you plagiarize and then come back and tell me I didn't know that that was plagiarism, you're still going to get a 0 and be reported. I'm giving you those plagiarism materials as part of Module 1, and you're going to take a quiz about it. So hopefully we're all going to be on the same page about that. This is your course schedule, which is available in the syllabus. And so here you have the module number, the dates that it is open. So Module 1 is due on June 24th. The topics we're going to cover, the reading that you're expected to do, and then the assignments that are due as part of that module. So in Module 1, we have exercises 1 through 3, a plagiarism quiz, and then your first quiz on the module, which will cover chapters 1 and 2. Next, I'm going to talk about a little bit about what is geography. If you are taking my regional class, this is going to look very familiar. I do this in the beginning of all of my geography classes. In fact, if you are taking my regional class right now, there's a lot of overlap in the first bit of the course. It will diverge pretty fast, I promise. But if you're watching one of them and you go, I just watched this in the other class, it will diverge pretty quickly. But there's some background information that we need everybody to know in any geography class. So geography is the study of the earth and the way we interact with it, in its most basic definition. But it is much, much more. I have geographer friends who study everything from Twitter to hurricanes. So geographers use some key geographic concepts, and I'll go through each one of these separately, in order to look at the world and understand the world around us. And so those are location, space, place, human environment interactions, movement networks, systems, and scale. The first one is location. We have two types of location that we think of. The first one is absolute location. If you open up your smartphone and you see that blue dot on the map, that is your absolute location. That is where you are. That is based upon GPS coordinates. We can also think about it in terms of longitude and latitude, which you can see here on the left. And then we also have relative location. Where are you in relation to something else? We are in Southern California. We are south of LA. We are north of the Mexican border. The next thing is space, which we'll talk about less in this class, but you will talk about a lot if you take my cultural class or my regional class. But space, we are concerned with the distribution of phenomena across space, and not outer space, but the space around us. This is a racial dot map of Detroit, where the green dots are African Americans, the blue dots are Caucasian, red is Asian, and orange is Hispanic. And so as geographers, we can see that there's some pretty heavy racial segregation in Detroit, and we want to know why that is happening. Why are certain people of a certain race living in some areas and not others? The next is place, and place is just kind of how a place is unique. Our world is full of many, many unique places. And so if I said to you the South, you would have different kind of ideas and connotations of the South if you grew up there, if you've been there, if you've never been there. Places like San Diego, where people think about beaches and Balboa Park and sunshine. The city is a place, right? If you think of the city, it is very different from a rural area or the country. Home is a place. There are virtual places that geographers study, like Facebook. Facebook is a virtual place. We talk about it that way. People post things to your wall. Skyrim, this is a video game that I know nothing about other than it's a video game, but people spend a lot of time creating pretty intricate virtual places, especially for things like virtual reality and video games. And then we have places like the ghetto, right? What do we think about when we think about the word the ghetto? Human environment interactions. This basically means that we are always affecting the environment, and the environment is always affecting us. An example of that would be industrial agriculture. In the process of industrial agriculture, we spread lots of fertilizers. And then after it rains, those fertilizers run down into local waterways and they cause algae blooms. This is called eutrophication. And that algae kind of takes all of the oxygen out of the water and it chokes out the other life. And so it kills lots of fish. And then maybe that was a spawning ground, an important spawning ground for some fish. So now maybe fishermen downstream are being affected by decreased fish stocks. And so we're going to talk about this in this class, especially when we talk about climate change, how we are affecting the environment and how the environment is affecting us. Then we think about movement and networks, which we deal with much less in our physical geography class, but we want to know how do things and people move throughout the environment, why do they move, and how does that shape the connections and separations between people and places. So here is a picture from several years ago when we had an influx of unaccompanied minors coming to the U.S. border. And this is a train that many were traveling on through Mexico. And so as geographers, we want to know, why are they traveling this particular way? Why are they heading to the U.S. in the first place? What are the things pushing them out of their country and pulling them to the United States? And then we have systems, which by far is what we are going to spend a lot of time looking at in this class. Physical science looks at systems, inputs and outputs, and interactions of matter and energy. Here's a glacial system, which glaciers is one of the last things that we look at in this class. So we have material input of snow and ice and rock and debris and solar radiation. And then we have energy output of heat exchange between ice, liquid, and water vapor, and the material output of meltwater and rock and debris and water vapor. And so we're going to spend a lot of time in this class talking about systems, the atmosphere, the hydrosphere, the lithosphere. And then scale. We want to know, what is the right scale to be looking at something. Is it a global phenomenon or a local phenomenon? Is it a California issue or a federal issue? Geographers spend a lot of time thinking about scale, and you'll learn more in depth about scale in the upcoming module. So, also, in your first module, you're going to complete a discussion board as part of your first exercise. You're going to let me know why are you taking this class, and because I have to and they made me is an okay response. And then you're going to list the countries that you have visited. If you have never left the United States, that is fine. Lots of my students have not left the United States. Just tell me about an interesting place that you have been. And then I want to know, why were you there? Were you on vacation? Were you living there? Were you in the military, etc.? So now you're going to move on to Module 1, and once again, welcome to Physical Geography, and good luck!